The draft is done, but the offseason has only just begun. I promise. This isn't just another rhyme. But we are going to find some players this time. Free agents still abound. What are we doing after that final round? Now let's see. Boy Green meets Wudi live. Let's get it.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. Okay, I know we're still talking about all these picks, right? You know, a week from today was the draft, right? Exactly 7 days ago was the draft. People are still digesting, oh, drafted this, drafted that, you know. On this thirsty Thursday, am thirsty for more talent on the New York Jets roster. So that is what we will be talking about today. Which free agents you can still add after all this with your boy James Wudi. Boy Green, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Spectacular. Phenomenal. I'm just doing swell. I have to tell you, because it's great, Wudi, because earlier this week I got to talk to the second most talented person in RG3. Now to go to the number one most talented in James Wudi, you're starting quarterback, he's backup quarterback, but nonetheless, it's a solid handoff. So hopefully RG3 did a nice job of keeping your seat warm, coming into this. So we can only hope.
I mean, he was tremendous. He has definitely been an A1 Tyrod Taylor. But the boy Rogers is out here, and we about to sling some takes, right? Sling the pigskin, sling some takes. RG3, he had his time. He has time, but the sun has set, and the sun about to rise with your boy James Wudi.
Well, that's a phenomenal intro. There's no doubt about it. And what we're set to do is exactly what you said. The headline reads, top free agents the Jets should sign post-NFL draft. Now, they may have to be a bit creative when they take a gander at the cap space and how this is all going to work, but this is a Super Bowl roster, as RG3 said. And the Jets are tinkering and finagling and trying to find the final couple of pieces to push this thing over the top and win the whole gosh darn thing. If you look back at their history, they have been all about ring chasers, Jason Taylor, LaDainian Tomlinson, Santonio Holmes, trades, signings, what have you, of come on, toot, let's head to the Super Bowl. And I think there will be that opportunity once again this offseason for guys, again, the Jets should add to this puzzle.
Definitely. We will be chasing some rings. Gotta catch them all. So there are definitely a couple of those that we'll be looking at, but maybe some others, a reunion here, a reunion there. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder how much crossover we're going to have on this list, because we did not confer. I've got my list here in front of me. You have your list there. There's no conferring. Just, hey, let's go on live and let's do this thing. So that's pretty interesting. So I guess I'll just start with the list. This is a name that...
All right, number 5, right?
Yeah. This is, I would say, a name on my list that I'm not sure we've discussed at any point this offseason, going back to regular free agency to this or anywhere. Now, there are some questions with this player, and I will say there's probably questions with any player that's still available at this point for one reason or another. This man is Connor Williams, formerly of the Miami Dolphins. He's a young player, still in his 20s. He played spectacular last season. The PFF analytics are terrific. 86.5 overall PFF grade, 90.5. That's elite run blocking grade. And he was very serviceable from a pass blocking perspective at 71.7. Now, the problem is, why is this 20-something-year-old, not signed? Well, he suffered a ACL tear late in the season, so his return to play timeline is totally up in the air. I don't know what it looks like. Tried to do some research ahead of this episode to see if there's any update. There doesn't seem to be. So that would be the dart throw, but you wouldn't need him to come in and be a starter. So maybe you can bring him in and there's kind of a path to play and be incredible depth later. If not, I won't steal your thunder because I would assume that player is on your list that I will not bring up. But I think a lot of people know who I'm talking about. And if you don't bring it up later, I'll bring it up later in the show. But they need a center. They don't have a center. And people may say Wes Schweitzer. But again, Hard Knocks dedicated an entire episode. Not an entire episode. Let me not be hyperbolic. They dedicated an entire segment to Wes Schweitzer drilling the guy who was selling popcorn in the stands of Jets practices. Get your popcorn here, popcorn. Whoa! He just got drilled with an errant snap from Wes Schweitzer of drilling people out there because of how terrible he was snapping the football. So he's a fine guard, but center, little questionable. So Connor Williams, baby, youngish guy, taken from an AFC East rival and the Dolphins. Young guy, interesting, and also he has versatility beyond center. He just learned Guatemalan this past season with the Dolphins, but he also played a lot of guard with the Dallas Cowboys. So I like kind of the versatility there too. Connor Williams, baby.
Absolutely. I mean, we will definitely be talking about that position, and Boy Green definitely has his crystal ball on lock because he knows who I'm about to talk about, but not right now because this list is 5 through 1. We're talking about the least likely or the least want to sign to the highest desire, the most desire to sign. So I'm definitely not going to put that in my least category. I will reserve that for actually the opposite side of the ball. And this person,
interesting.
I know we have not talked about pretty much ever in the history of Boy Green talking to James Wudi. We've never talked about this person, but this is a position that keeps coming up when we talk, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Jackson Sermon. All right, we've talked about the linebacker position. I really like the depth on offense. I really, really do. Defense, I don't, if Quentin Williams goes down, not loving what the defensive line looks like. If Quincy Williams goes down, not loving what the defense looks like. So allow me to add a depth piece that not too long ago was considered one of the best young linebackers in football. They called him Darius. Now he is Shaquille. Give me Shaq Leonard as number 5 on the James Wudi free agent list. Number 5. He was with the Eagles just this past season. Only making $1.5 million. So we know financially JD can make those numbers work. But this is a depth piece. Again, somebody who is literally considered one of the best, like a universally accepted top 5 linebacker, young linebacker in football that now under Salah's regime may be able to capture some of that old juice, that old fire, kind of like a guy named Quan Alexander who had high promise, then some disappointing years, and then had a good season with the Jets. A lot of Jets fans wanted Quan back. Didn't get him back. Ended up tearing his Achilles. That's where he's at right now. Shaq Leonard, let's see if Salah and Jeff Ulbrich can turn back that clock and get a lot of production if they need depth at that linebacker position.
Interesting. Okay. I love the player in Indianapolis. Spectacular. Something happened where he was no longer the same player, whether it was injuries or what have you, where suddenly it seemed like Space Jam style. His powers disappeared, and you're like, what happened? And then the Colts cut him, and he's picking between the Cowboys and the Eagles, and everyone thinks, ooh, this is going to be a game-changing move. Picks the Eagles, and they are one and done. Kaput. in the playoffs. But the talent is unbelievable. So, especially now we're post-draft, a lot of these guys we're talking about, the money ain't going to be crazy to bring this in. Woody, I'm going to give you a chance to guess my next player because we're going to play that guessing game where I'm going to be giving you a couple of details about him, and I want to see if you could guess who this is. Are you ready to play a little? Are you ready to play a game, Woody?
Born ready, Jigsaw.
Okay, here it is. This player is a quarterback. I'll put it out there.
Oh, my God. How dare you disrespect Pee Wee Herman on this podcast right now?
This quarterback is a former top 10 pick.
Oh, my God.
And a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Who is it? And he's a free agent right now.
2-time Super Bowl champion has messed me up.
2-time Super Bowl champion. And
not Carson Wentz.
No.
Definitely not Mariota.
And Mariota signed anyway. He's in Washington.
Oh,
and Carson Wentz was also signed. Yeah. This is an available guy, a street free agent. 2-time Super Bowl champ, former top 10 pick.
Was it with the same team, both of his wins?
Could be, could not be.
Okay. I can't believe I doesn't look like I'm going to get this one.
Okay. I will tell you this. How about this? I'll give you a hint. The Super Bowl championships were not with the same team. Different teams.
Oh.
It's okay. If you want to wave the white flag, just wave it. Wave it proudly.
I don't even have a white flag. I'm just oh my gosh. I said I was born ready.
Oh, there you go. You got to wave your, your scissors prop. I assumed you had other props ready at the get-go. Your Wudi team that's off camera that's just kind of handed you props, like, propping you up. It's Blaine Gabbert, baby. 2-time Super Bowl champion, top 10 pick, number 10 overall pick. Just a handful of years ago. He's getting old now, which makes me feel old because I remember this draft. I said, this guy is a total bust. But the Jaguars did not listen. He's 34 now, which again makes me feel old. 6'5", 235 pounds. He was in the same draft as Cam Newton. And people were like, Cam Newton or Blaine Gabbert? Who should be the number one pick? People were having that conversation. Now, we don't have to have that conversation anymore, but he's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. And let's be honest, look at the quarterback room for a second. Aaron Rodgers is 40s. He's going to be 41 in December, coming off a torn Achilles. Tyrod Taylor is 34, will be 35 this year. We've got Jordan Travis. Again, maybe he'll be ready by training camp. We got our boy Pee Wee Jarrett, baby. West Florida University. Okay? But we need a camp arm, and maybe more than that. And he's available. Why not Blaine gosh darn Gabbert, baby? A proven winner. Okay? That overcame obstacles in his life. And he's proven to be a solid veteran backup. He was the 2 championships, by the way, both Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Pretty good company to share, that of Blaine Gabbert. So a remarkable career where he's been playing in the league since 2011. He's played for the Jaguars, the 49ers, the Cardinals, the Titans, the Bucks, the Chiefs. He could have stayed in one place, I'm sure, but he chose to spread his love with the rest of the NFL. And kind of graced their presence, and kind of visited each town in the village and said, God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. And then we're just lucky to have him. So why not another stop on the Blaine Gabbert train, toot here in New York? We need, again, another camp arm. There's a lot of questions, a lot more questions than answers. And maybe he sticks on the roster. Who knows?
Wow. Well, that train definitely has some rusty parts. I love how you said, hey, Aaron Rodgers is very old. You know what? Tyrod Taylor is very old. Let's grab a third very old quarterback, one who has aged much worse than the previous 2.
Well, he's got more Super Bowl championships than Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor combined.
How many snaps did he play on that road to glory?
I don't know. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I just know 2 rings, Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod combined. Hell, how about this? Aaron Rodgers, Tyrod Taylor, and Jordan Travis and Pee Wee Jarrett all combined still don't have the Super Bowl glory that Blaine Gabbert does. Those are facts.
but I think they all have the same amount of snaps. Um, so
That's neither here nor there.
all right, well, you asked for it. You're about to get it. The offensive line. That is the most important position in this
Of course.
for this roster with all the injuries. We have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. 7 injuries. So the name that I'm going to say is not the name that you're expecting, but this is a list. It is a list of 5 through 1. So I'm going to start with Mason Cole.
Who?
We're going.
Oh yeah, the Steelers center. Right.
Yeah,
The old Steelers center. Yeah.
Exactly that. He was starting for them for the last 2 years. They are in the midst of rebuilding their line. They actually are the ones that got Troy Fontenot, who I kept picking up in my mock drafts. But Cole is a center who can also be a guard, right? I know they keep saying that about Wes. Boy Green emphatically disagrees with that. But here we go with somebody who actually can do it. I'm hearing things that maybe they're comfortable with Max Mitchell being a guard. I'm going to say no, thank you. So in this scenario, when we're talking about backup offensive line, Fashion on the left, Wes, right? So sorry, Fashion left tackle, Wes left guard, Cole right guard, and to be continued.
I say what a tease, like a goosebump tease. Next chapter. Okay. Okay. I like it. Me likey. All right. That's not too shabby. One of the things that I really enjoy in my life is the movie Hitch with Will Smith, Kevin James. It's a fun movie. I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen it. Actually. Yeah, very much so. I haven't seen it in a hot second, so I got to put that back on the old TiVo. Boop, 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 boop. Got to put that on there. There's no doubt about it. But if I was to channel my inner Hitch, my inner Will Smith, and I was trying to get 2 parties together, and in this case, back together, what about Marcus May, who is a free agent safety? And you think about the safety room, and to be honest, I think the safety room is Tony Adams, he's one of your starters. Put him there. The other safety, is it Chuck Clark? Healthy. I love Chuck Clark. I mean, he played 1,000 consecutive snaps for 3 years until he had the unfortunate pleasure of being traded to the Jets. And then that streak came to an unflattering end. And you have Ashton, who's my boy, who I like a lot, but I'm curious how the Jets view him, if they're going to give him enough snaps. So there's a hole there. Is it Jalen Key? Is he the guy? I think if we keep floating through the offseason, it's May 2nd as we're doing this show. I'm curious if, as we're progressing through here and the safety market, because again, there's all those big names out there that are still out there on the market. If we keep waiting for time, as we get further and further from the draft, I think the price tag decreases for all of these players. That's why I think Marcus May is pretty compelling for a price. Coming back, getting a home at a place that he's very comfortable with, and he's in the room, and the staff is comfortable with him as well. Again, they wanted to keep him long term. For whatever reason, it didn't work out. He had some off the field issues, but he's an intriguing dart throw. There's a lot of intriguing safeties you could look at, but Marcus May, to me, that reunion would make a lot of sense, and he would have a path. There's no, outside of Tony Adams, I don't see any clear, like, oh boy, Justin Simmons is here. Sorry, Marcus, you have to ride the pine. I think there's a path and a pitch you can make to Marcus. Hey, man, we got a lot of young kids here. You have a chance to go win the job. If you don't, you're going to be like a key reserve or rotational third safety. So I like Marcus May.
I like Marcus May too. I was thinking about him all day May. I was thinking about him. But the issues that I'm worried about are his injuries, his injury history. When that last year as a Jet, yes, he was coming off injury, but he was widely regarded as one of the better safeties in football. I'm not saying that he's not.
Wait. He was what?
Regarded as one of the better safeties in football.
I don't know. You're going to disagree? I think that's the fish story. Yeah, we were down on the lake, and we caught a fish this big, and then we get in the car. Actually, it was this big. We get in the car.
Definitely
I don't
not.
think
I'm telling you, when Jamal Adams was gone, Marcus May stepped up.
He was fine, and he got a nice deal of the Saints. He got like a 3-year deal for like 21 million, 24 million, something like that. A nice deal for Marcus May. Very nice.
He definitely got paid, but my point is that his stock has gone down.
Yes,
because of
significantly.
Yeah. So, with that being said, I'm good. I will
no reunion. Cancel the reunion show. I didn't even get it on air. I didn't even get the pilot episode. You're out. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got the pilot. That was 2018, 2017. You got all that. We're talking about the reunion. Leave it where it is. Leave it in the past. But the safety position, I personally don't think it's that bad. I feel like everybody wants to have like a name that they can use in Madden, for every single position. Like, I need to recognize
Nothing wrong with that.
Sometimes there is, because names are just names. Sometimes players are better than the names. But I will say this. Joe Douglas has done such a great job building this roster that I think it's actually impossible to do this list without including a safety, because it's the weakest position on the roster. Like, if we need to add 5 guys, a safety has to be one of them. So allow me to enter a guy that has played in all 17 games in the season the last 3 years in a row. All right. We're talking about a hallmark for health that might end up like Chuck Clark, just getting hurt as soon as he becomes a Jet, but hopefully not. Hopefully not. Give me Quandre Diggs from Seattle, not Jamal, but the other one. All right, that was supposed to be part of the talented safety tandem that they had. Bring him over here. A similar scheme, very similar scheme actually, and just have him roll in there and fit with the boys that we got.
I like that. I will also say this for people that, again, I remember this was pre-draft. I don't know if you remember these comments in our comments section that light up all the time. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for supporting the show. Again, we're streaming live everywhere. Show your support. But I remember the last time we did this episode, I think we did like a pre-draft. Hey, here are the things we need to fill ahead of the draft. And a lot of people said, hey, have you guys looked at the cap? Shut up. This video is stupid. Like blee, blah, blue, blah, blue. And I would say this, while obviously the Jets cap space is limited, Joe Douglas has a track record of adding guys in this no man land time. Morgan Moses, the first time that came in, he was cut in May, brought in the June, July range. Go to Dalvin Cook. And some of these names didn't work out, but it was still additions that he made late of bringing some of these guys into the picture. So it's an MO of Joe Douglas. He's done it in the past, and I imagine he's going to do it again. Whether it's a name on our list or not, we will see ultimately. But I would not just, dismiss the fact that Joe Douglas could, and I would imagine is going to add more pieces to this roster. So I just want to make that abundantly clear. But good call on Diggs. He's a fun player. Hey, here's a fun story, by the way. Yeah, I didn't know I had a Diggs story to share, but apparently I do. The draft just passed last week, and I don't know if I ever told you this, Woody. Did I tell you that me and Quandre Diggs got into a beef about the movie Draft Day?
No, definitely not.
So this happened on Twitter. Me versus superstar safety Quandre Diggs, and he quote tweets it and says, like, it's stupid. I'm going to paraphrase. I don't have the exact verbiage because this is a story I didn't plan on telling because I didn't know he was on your list. But he basically said, like, it's stupid. The draft value or something didn't add up. That was basically the gist. And I immediately returned to Quandre. And I'm like, hey, when you watched Mission Impossible, where you're saying, Tom Cruise, that's one too many spins. That's not physically possible. You can't do that. Oh, you didn't? Then shut up. So me and Diggs are going in this heated back and forth about the movie Draft Day and why I said you have a suspension of disbelief when Tom Cruise dives off the side of a building when in all reality he would have ran out of oxygen or whatever would have happened in the scenario. You could suspend your disbelief. Okay. It doesn't have to make sense logically, but the draft, whoa, the value chart, it would have been a 3rd round pick, not a 4th round pick. I want all my picks back. Shut up. So yeah, me and Quandre got into a beef about the movie Draft Day, and I will defend that movie until I'm dead. So it's apparently me and Robert Saleh on a very lonely island of defending Kevin Costner in Draft Day, which, by the way, Woody, have you ever seen that yet? Have you still gotten it in?
I have not. I have not. I still have time. I still have time.
Still have time to what? Next Draft Day? I guess. That's a year. Hopefully you get it in, but
51 weeks.
Me. There you go. Who's counting? All right, anywho, let me get to my next name on this list. It's a name you all know. I'm just going to jump right to it. It's Odell Beckham Jr., baby. OBJ. And this is a double dip because the Miami Dolphins are sniffing around. They've given him an offer, but obviously he hasn't taken it. God bless myself.
You might be allergic to BS. So that's what you're loading right now.
It would make sense coming off your list, but that's neither here nor there. But the Dolphins are sniffing around OBJ. He didn't accept their offer because it was trash, obviously. And he's like, playing with Tua. Yikes. Okay. That's what he's really saying because I'm an interpreter for OBJ. But with the Jets only taking one wide receiver in this class, which I still find questionable, this was an incredibly deep wide receiver class. I like Malachi Corley. It's odd that they didn't dip their toe back in the water at some point during this draft, but they didn't. And I still think there's a path for another wide receiver here. And that wide receiver is Odell Beckham Jr. He wants to come back to New York. He wants to play with Aaron Rodgers. And I think you figure it all out. And this is a signing that happened somewhere in the middle of the summer. And I'm going to be doing fist pumps and trying to get my OBJ3 jersey and let's ride, baby. Let's go. So OBJ, back to New York, back to the Jets. Everyone wants it, even if you're not admitting it and you're yelling at me on social media. You know you want it. You so want to pretend like you don't want it because you want it so much. I'm helping you. OBJ back to New York, catching touchdown passes from Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I thought Marcus May was going to be my least favorite name on your list, but it doesn't even come close. Definitely don't need Odell.
So you don't have him on the list, is what you're saying?
No, of course not. He's first of all, I don't think he's going to come for the vet minimum, right? That was part of the problem last year. Yeah, he wanted to play with Aaron, but he'd rather go to Baltimore for triple the money. Second of all, he's not him. I don't understand why you're so excited. He literally has not been him for years. And you're talking about, I'm not sure about Chuck Clark. He's coming off injury. Odell literally hasn't been the same from an injury that occurred 3 years ago. I mean, he's just not
pretty healthy last year, was he not?
Yeah, he was all right, cool. And what did he do? He didn't do anything.
Well, that's because how great was Lamar Jackson last year? All he did is win an MVP.
An MVP, yeah. I mean, see, you're acknowledging how ridiculous this sounds. You trying to hype up Odell Beckham. It is it's laughable. It's like me trying to say, you know what, the Jets have signed Antonio Brown. And I promise you, Antonio Brown could probably do more on a football field than Odell can in 2024. Are you serious? Antonio Brown didn't even fall off. He just he became insane. But on a football field, no, but on a football field, he was still getting open every time. Odell does not have the same speed that he had before. Odell is not even close to the receiver that he was in New York. It's a waste. It's just a waste of a pick, and it's just more. Wow. Yeah, it's not a waste of a pick. Obviously, a waste of a spot, and just media circus for no reason.
Wait a second. He led the Baltimore Ravens to the AFC Championship game, pal.
He led them. What are you talking about?
On his back.
The only thing he led them in is Instagram followers, and I know that I'm talking to one that right now.
Helps.
But
that's part of it.
No, it literally means nothing. It means nothing. You're talking. That's a distraction. It's a distraction, and he is not the type of player that I think would fit this locker room. Yeah.
Quandre takes as a distraction with his draft day takes. I don't hear you saying that in the last bit, but
it's neither. I've never seen the movie. Fine. Who knows? I might end up agreeing with him.
How dare you? How dare you?
I'm sorry,
So
I didn't mean
OBJ
I did
not on your list. That's all right. What do you got? What do you got? Let's hear your bright ideas, GM.
Okay. Well, this idea is actually one of your ideas that I did not have on my original list, but
Okay.
with the departure, do I have them? I don't know if I have them. I don't think I have them.
You
Yeah.
lost your props. Wow.
No, sometimes other things need to get cut, man. But with the departure of JFM, who is, I've always said he is a starting caliber player, that can play, interior and on the edge. It's just that he was not worth his cap hit. Well, guess what? There is a player out there who can play at a high level, interior and on the edge, and that is none other than Calais Campbell, who would literally come to the Jets for less than half of what JFM was being paid. He was just on the Falcons last year, had a very nice season, 7 sacks on the year. I think this is a no-brainer replacement, a much cheaper replacement, veteran. If we're going all in 1 year, right? Ring chasers. Like Boy Green said before, this is a perfect ring-chasing situation with an extremely talented player with a very highly decorated career.
If Joe Douglas gets Calais Campbell, I will be doing unbelievable things because he's number one on my list, Calais Campbell. I would have loved him with JFM on the team because he can play inside outside. Without JFM, it's like, I don't know what those people called at the airport. They have the lights and they're going
air traffic controllers. Isn't that what they are?
Sure. Apparently that's a name for it. Air traffic control. Let's get Calais Campbell. And that may be an issue because remember, Calais Campbell was about to get on a private jet. And then Arthur Blank, the Falcons owner, said, "We love your charitable efforts," apparently was the thing that sold them. So questionable. I throw a flag on bullshit on that. But anywho, that's a load of barnacles to get my SpongeBob reference in there. But so let's get him on the jet this time and then have the jet land and let him not leave the building. Calais Campbell, a Walter Payton Man of the Year, a massive monster human being. I have no idea how his parents were able to have a child of that size. There's no question about it. But if you check off everything, especially when you look at what the Jets focused on this offseason of character being such a big piece of the puzzle. Olu, people rave about him. Malachi Corlett, people rave about him, and go down the whole list of draft picks and additions, Tyron Smiths and stuff like that. Calais Campbell is the epitome of the aura, of the vision of what the Jets are looking for. And this isn't just a charitable effort. Hey, I want Calais Campbell to speak at my charity function on Saturday. It's beyond that. It's the football player who you gave the stats. That's incredible for a player of his age to be able to still produce at that level. And to be honest with the Jets, it's a rotation. So you get a chance to chase a championship. That has eluded Calais Campbell throughout his career. He's still wildly productive, and you're playing with these other cats. I think that can unlock another level too. So I won't lie. Apparently, we do have crossover. He's the number one player on my list. I'd love him with JFM gone. And again, the longer we wait, the cheaper he becomes. He was already relatively cheap. It was $6 or $7 million this past season, but it was fully guaranteed from the Falcons. I don't think he's getting that kind of scratch from the Jets or any team for that matter, especially considering all the variables involved. But he's number one on my list. He would just fit to a T exactly what the Jets are looking for.
Yeah. Real recognize real. He was on your pre-draft list, and now with the post-draft, like I said, I think JFM departure. I know you had him on there regardless, but now without him, and I like Clemens because I know that's what people are. Of course, everyone's like, oh, you want this position? That means you hate that Jet option.
Yes, right.
I don't. It's just that Calais Campbell is that good. Number one, Boy Green knows who it is. You probably know who it is. Everybody watching, if you've seen me talk before, because the number one thing that I'm most worried about for this Jets season is the offensive line. And the one person that I keep bringing up, the one person who I brought up, he was number one on my list pre-draft. Still hasn't been signed. So why would he not be number one right now? Give me Connor McGovern, a guy who on the
multiple centers on
field.
this list. Nice. Okay.
Yes, well, because of the dual center guard concept, where
Right.
that versatility that Salah always talks about, how much he values that versatility. We didn't get a super versatile option in the draft, right? We know that Fashanu is definitely playing tackle. It might even be a situation where he's definitely playing left. So, this is where you get in other guys who you can start playing musical chairs with. And after what happened to AVT, I kind of co-signed, right, keeping Olu in one spot. And as messed up as this sounds, play musical chairs with some of the other guys, with some of the depth pieces. And, we have talked about, Boy Green has talked about this at length. I've echoed it. What McGovern does for Joe Tippmann. I think, people just assume that Tippmann is going to be great. He's a second round pick. He was solid.
Get better.
He was what?
No, I'm saying he should get better. He had a couple of injuries last year, but like the arrow should continue to point up heading into 2024. Sure.
I mean that's just the automatic assumption, but it doesn't always work out that way. A lot of times it doesn't. So I think having that veteran leader that he had, a guy who was helping him review film and has been successful in this league, having somebody who we already know for a fact will do that, will be happy to do that, wants to be at Tippmann's Hall of Fame speech. I think that is so important, because I think we're taking it for granted and we're assuming that Tippmann is just Nick Mangold solely because he was picked in the second round and he wasn't terrible last year. But I think giving him the most we can give him to succeed is a huge deal. So give me Connor McGovern, who could actually also play too. It's not like he's Josh McCown, who has no value other than mentoring. He can actually still play as well.
Yeah, it's a nice security blanket to have. And again, if the Jets went with the philosophy they did with Fashanu, and Joe Douglas said, what was the worst thing that could happen to this team and derail them? Talking to himself on the ESPN radio hit we talked about earlier this week, then shoot. Let's continue that protection and be fully insured. And if Connor McGovern signed for dirt scratch last year and wants to collect another paycheck and has a great relationship with Tippmann, why wouldn't you do it? So makes a lot of sense. All right, Wudi. Well, we're plumb out of time, but that's it. That's the show. Free agents potential to add to the mix here post draft for the New York Jets. Plus, over the next couple of weeks, we got a lot of stuff happening. The schedule release, that's always a fun show where we can talk about games we want to see or games that are most important or this or that or the other. I'm sure those will be some episodes coming up here on the channel, but always appreciate another episode, brother. This was fun.
Absolutely. All right. Everybody knows that Team Wudi, like always, was better than Team Boy Green this time around. So just, let's keep on keeping on.
Love it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you check out all the streaming channels for this channel, youtube.com/boygreen25, at Twitter, boygreen25, and Instagram, the James Wudi. Make sure you guys follow, like, and show your support. We're live every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock, unless RG3 burst into the huddle, I guess. So every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock, plus every day live at 7:30 in the morning for Boy Green Daily. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.